Hi VC, back again with another new arrivals video. I said last time that I would be doing 2 or 3 of these. This is obviously the second. This one I'm going to concentrate on the vinyl that I bought that is new, so not second hand or picked up from Discogs or eBay, but purchased new. A lot of these were picked up in various sales, either pre or post Christmas, but some of them I've got from Bandcamp or other areas. Anyway, I'm going to kick off. Angel Witch, the 70s tapes. This just came out last year. I picked it up on Bandcamp just the last week or so. Brilliant custom labels. Angel Witch, for those of you who don't know, were one of the sort of leading lights of the new wave of British heavy metal. Wonderful band. Still touring. I saw them the back end of last year in Newcastle. Kev Hayborn, great guitarist, really tight band. Not the world's greatest lyrics. I mean, I think even Kev will admit to that. But this is currently available on Bandcamp for about 13 quid or something. Well worth picking up. And as you can see, contains demos of some of their stuff from the debut album. It was recorded in 1978 and 79. Sort of tapes that Kev had from recordings in his bedroom and stuff like that. But anyway, I haven't spun it yet, but I'm looking forward to having a listen to that. Right. Next, the Allman Brothers Band at Fillmore East. I've had this on CD for ages and been looking for a decent copy of the original, but just not seen one anywhere. This was in the HMV sale, I think just before Christmas. I picked it up for about 12 quid, I think. So I was really happy with that. I mean, it's a superb album. It's probably one of the best live albums there's been. It was the 3rd record that the Allmans had put out, and kind of at this point they weren't doing that well commercially. But this really broke them. This was their most successful album of their career. And the final, I mean, it's got 7 tracks on it over 2 albums. You know what you're going to get into. It's very sort of jam bandy stuff here. But the version of Whip and Post on the final side is just absolutely amazing. Brilliant stuff. I mean, as for me, normally this is going to be a wide mix of different kind of styles and things like that. Next up, we've got Coheed and Campea. And this is Colour Before the Sun, the Big Beige and 4th Street demos. Now this was a record store release, and it was demo versions of their last album, released on a rather spiffing clear vinyl. Problem being is that when this was pressed, there were a number of them that were pressed incorrectly, and rather than having the demos on, it's actually got the album itself on, and this is one of them copies. So I don't know if that makes it any more valuable or not. Given that I'm never going to sell it, it doesn't really matter, but it would be nice to get a hold of the demos at some point. I'll keep an eye out for them. Another album from last year. This is Gentle Giant's 3-piece suite. And this is basically remasterings of tracks from their first 3 albums by Stephen Wilson. Stephen Wilson of Porcupine Tree fame. Now, if you don't know Gentle Giant, they're almost the quintessential prog band. It's hard to try and pin a comparison to them. Perhaps something like early Genesis would be there, but not really. Well worth hunting out if you like that sort of English style of prog. This is excellent. Stephen Wilson, as always, does an amazing job on the mixes. The pressing isn't the world's greatest, but it's not dreadful. But there you go. I mean, the Gentle Giant stuff nowadays goes for an awful lot of money for original pressings because they were on Vertigo, and you know, people just collect Vertigo rather than the bands, you know. So this is a good way to pick up a selection of their earlier stuff if you want it on vinyl. Now, a bit of left field for me. I actually bought this on the back of a recommendation from one of the guys in one of the stores I go to in Newcastle. Basically, I was flicking through the new arrivals bin. There was nothing really that caught my eye, so I just asked him what he would recommend as something a little bit different. I mean, he's known us for years, so he knows the kind of stuff I like, so he pointed me in the direction of this. He says, Ghost Poets, Dark Days and Canaps. Canaps? Canapes. Crying out loud, Chris. And it's hard to describe. Imagine sort of dark electronic lounge music with a sort of urban bent to it. Not meant to sound brilliant, but I love this. It's very, very atmospheric. Well worth a listen if you get a chance. Canapes. Next one is a reissue of an album that I think it was 2016. Is this 2016? No, it's last year, 2017. First released in 2002. This is New Miserable Experience by Gin Blossoms. Gin Blossoms was sort of an American indie band. I first became aware of these because Jill and I were in Florida visiting friends over there back in 92, and got a hire car and, you know, top down and all that sort of thing, cruising around. Put on the local radio stuff just to get onto the rock stations, and the track Hey Jealousy was played almost every other song. Jill absolutely loved it. And when we got back to the UK, I did the embarrassing, I mean, I couldn't even remember who it was, did the embarrassing thing of singing a bit of the song to the chap in HMV who just kind of looked at us a bit strangely and said, I think I know what you're talking about, but given your voice, I'm not 100% sure. He was right, but there you go. Don't blame him for being sceptical, I haven't heard my voice. Another album from last year. This is brilliant stuff. This is Godspeed You Black Emperor, Luciferian Towers. It's kind of art rock, I suppose you could describe it as. Slightly proggy. It's a little bit easier listening than some of their previous output. It's very sort of moody, atmospheric, soundscapey, quite dark. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. This is the sort of album you want to be playing in a darkened room with some incense sort of burning away, and maybe after a few beers or a few smokes and just sort of chilling out to that. It's absolutely brilliant. Probably my favourite release of last year, I think. It's God, my mouth is totally log jammed today. I definitely need a beer. I realise I haven't drank a beer in these videos for ages now. And it's not helping my muscle relaxings. This is another album I picked up from Bandcamp. This is Moon Particle, Hurricane Esmeralda. And this came out last year again. It's a self-release. this chap here, Nico Tosnev, kindly signed this for me. Again, this was a really sort of bargain on Bandcamp. Again, I don't think I've definitely paid less than 15 quid for this. Nico Tosnev has been known to work with the likes of Steven Wilson. It's got Theo Travis on this album, who's worked closely with Robert Fripp before, and works in Steven Wilson's band. This is just what you would expect. It's very, very proggy in a sort of kind of Steven Wilson style, sort of modern prog. Highly recommended if you like that kind of thing. And like I say, it's a bargain on Bandcamp at the moment, so pick that one up. Another release from last year. This is Viking Olufsen playing Philip Glass's Piano Works. For those of you who don't know, Philip Glass is a sort of American composer in his 80s now, I think. Very sort of minimal music where the space between notes becomes as integral as the notes themselves. This is just beautiful. Again, it's one of those albums that you want to put on just as you're sort of chilling out and background stuff. Absolutely beautiful. This was recorded in Reykjavik in Iceland at one of the concert halls there in 2016 over 2 days, and it is beautiful. The sound on this is absolutely superb. And again, I picked this up in HMV on sale for around about 12 quid. Might have even been less, this one actually. Brilliant. And finally, again released in 2017, this is Steven Wilson's To the Bone. Double album, and I really like this. It's a great, great album. Steven Wilson got a lot of flack when he released this because the songs are a little bit lighter in, I was going to say lighter in tone, that's not quite right. The tone is still very dark. It is Steven Wilson still, but it sounds a little poppier, and I think that in some ways makes the songs a little bit more menacing. A little bit harder to digest. You're initially caught off guard by them. You think they're going to be something they're not, and when you really listen to it, it's really quite disturbing. Brilliant, brilliant album. I think he starts his tour for this album today, and I'm going to see him the day before my birthday on the 25th of March. So I'm looking forward to that. I've seen him on the last few tours he's done. Always puts on a brilliant, brilliant show. So there you go. That's kind of new vinyl that I've bought since I last posted any sort of updates. It's not the only new vinyl I've bought. The next video I'm going to do is going to be about music that I've purchased at gigs. And there's some vinyl in amongst that lot as well. For those of you interested, the music in the background is John Paul Jones' The Thunder Thief, which was released in 2001. Yeah, 2001. And this is brilliant. Just a great album. So it's got Nick Beggs on, Robert Fripp, Adam Baum, Terrell Bryant. Just the musicianship on this is brilliant. Heartily recommend it if you like that sort of slightly King Crimson-y, sort of off the wall, slightly Eastern influences at times. Brilliant, well worth picking up. Anyway, there you go. Managed to keep this down to around about 15 minutes. So I'll leave it there. I'm trying my best not to waffle on as much as I normally do. So anyway, VC. Cheers now. Bye.